This is Bobby Faginski, a 13-year-old boy hit and killed by a driver on Hononegah Road in 2017. That driver's never been charged. The state's attorney says that's because there was no crime. It was a tragic accident. Bobby's mother thinks otherwise. She reached out to 13 Investigates to look into this case, a case about justice.
Hononegah Road for car versus pedestrian.
That child hit by a car. We're also units be advised. We are starting CPR on them. It's going to be hit and run.
Please, let me stay with him. I think this is the mom. Please. Okay.
Bobby Faginski died on October 15th, 2017.
The last photos I have of my son are his autopsy photos.
Walking along Hononegah Road, Bobby and his friend Michaela were both hit by this truck. Michaela survived, but her mother Corinne says the horror of that night lives on in all of them, almost 16 months later.
And she just kept screaming. I will never forget the screaming.
Please, let me stay with him.
Dashcam video obtained by 13 Investigates captures more than just the screams of panic. It also captures this.
Are you witness at all?
Worse.
Father?
Negative. I hit him.
You're the driver?
I am.
This video was taken at 6:52 p.m. 5 hours later, he tells police what happened for the first time.
I'm driving along and I thought like there was a branch or something that hit my truck. And I'm like, that's weird. So I pulled over and that's when it got really weird.
Then at 12:45 a.m., he's released. 13 Investigates is not naming the driver because he has not been charged with a crime, something Janessa Faginski and Corinne Mertz say they can't wrap their heads around.
It's not right. And it's not right that it happens and there's absolutely no repercussion.
The truth is, it's a legal system. It's not a justice system.
The prosecutor's role ethically is to seek justice, not merely convict.
Winnebago County State's Attorney Marilyn Height Ross says she declined to bring charges against the driver because that would not be justice.
In any crash death investigation, the state's attorneys has to have evidence that a crime was committed. Sometimes there are crash accidents involving death that are merely that, an accident.
It's terrible of the situation and the scenario that this happened. But accidents happen.
The Winnebago County Sheriff's Office took over the investigation from Roscoe Police. Sheriff Caruana says those investigators found no evidence the driver was reckless, and despite the initial call going out as a hit and run.
She just said that they didn't even stop. She said they paused, and then they knew they hit him, but they kept going.
The driver actually returned to the scene. But there is part of the dashcam video that both Janessa and Corinne say doesn't sit right with them. An admission from the driver that he was drinking before getting behind the wheel.
You're drinking it all today?
I had one beer with dinner.
Police got a blood and urine sample 4.5 hours after the crash, but a breathalyzer was never given on scene.
Because there was no impairment, no signs of impairment. Okay, I mean, there's no reason to go to that level if there's no signs of impairment.
Why get his blood and urine drawn at all?
Well, again, that's protocol. We had a fatal accident, and we want to make sure that we're covering all the bases.
The results of that blood and urine sample draw came back clean.
As far as a accident investigation to a death investigation, fatal, it was done 100% right.
But Janessa says investigators made mistakes, and she has a binder full of documents from the investigation that she says proves it.
When the accident happened at 6:44 p.m., you've got reports that say 7:15 and reports that say 7:35, and they can't even get the time of the incident correct in their report. They can't even call him by his correct name in some of the reports. If you can't get the basics correct, how am I supposed to trust you with the big stuff?
The big stuff is where Janessa and investigators don't see eye to eye. They both agree Bobby and Michaela were walking side by side on Hononegah Road. But because there are no sidewalks, where they were walking is up for debate. Investigators say they believe the teens were in the road. Janessa and Corinne are adamant they were to the side of the road, in the grass, and that the driver veered off and hit them, leaving these tire marks.
I know I wasn't drifting off the road.
According to the accident reconstructionist reports, there were tire tracks from the numerous vehicles which pulled off the road and into the ditch to assist Bobby. But dash cam video shows all the vehicles on the pavement. In the dash cam video, when that officer arrives and the people are rendering aid to Bobby, all the cars are on the road.
I reviewed all of the evidence, including the dash cam video, and my decision is the same. Just because there's a tire mark off of the roadway, we don't know when that was made. The accident reconstructionist had mentioned that he could not tell, or he or she could not tell the tire marks if they were made by him or if they were made by another car. Right. But then you have Michaela who says, we were not in the road, we were on the side of the road.
Sure.
They obviously contradict each other.
They do.
What happens then when we talk about somebody's testimony who was there versus the reconstructionist who says, I can't tell whose tire marks these are?
Again, I have to go by the scientific evidence of the accident reconstructionists, but I will tell you on investigations that we have worked on, when you ask a witness what they saw and then you have other corroborating witnesses, it's not always the same. We can't determine exactly through that investigation if they're on the roadway or not.
All the police can do is say, we did a good job. We know we did a good job. I can look at the reports and disagree, but they've decided that they've done a good job. They've decided that the tire marks didn't matter.
My heart goes out to the family. I don't want to see this. This is something that we don't even want to have to investigate, ever. My condolences to the family.
Sorry doesn't bring Bobby back, and it certainly doesn't get us justice.
So what does justice look like for you and for Bobby?
Honestly, I just want an acknowledgement that it happened. I know it sounds weird, and they say, oh, this doesn't matter because it would just be a minor traffic ticket. But at least it would acknowledge that Bobby's life mattered to some degree.
13 Investigates also found a history of previous traffic violations for the driver, from a DUI to negligent driving to driving on the wrong side of the road. All incidents he was ticketed for, but there is no ticket for the crash that killed Bobby. The sheriff says investigators determined there was no reason for a ticket because it was ruled an accident.